Welcome, TechFairLive community. I'm Ray, a developer advocate at BigCommerce, and today we're going to learn about Alexa skills and where ecom will be in 2022. So if you're ready, let's get started. Like I said, I'm Ray, a developer advocate at BigCommerce, and I love to code. I'm fluent in JavaScript, C#, and I love to create content, and that's why I'm here. I want to share with you exactly how to do different things and what it means to build to the BigCommerce platform. And with that, let's talk a little bit about BigCommerce. Just quickly, it's an e-commerce platform. We enable developers to build into this platform so you can build applications or websites for merchants. And we consider ourselves a developer first platform. So we open up all of our APIs. We develop API first. So that way you can build the latest applications into our platform. We also enable e-commerce through omni-channel. So, being able to sell on an Alexa skill or being able to sell in Amazon Marketplace, just to name a few. So this is kind of where the idea came from, was to be able to expand into omni-channel through Alexa skills. And I think we've all had that moment where we ask ourselves, I bought this Alexa, but I'm using it to set a timer. And I know I've done that. And with that, I think we want to take and evolve these applications and hardware to do more so that we can really utilize them in our daily lives. So why would we implement the Internet of Things with e-commerce? And I really think it's just an extension of what we've already seen through the pandemic. So the pandemic has really enabled businesses to go online. And at BigCommerce, we've seen that a lot of merchants are taking their business not just online, but through omni-channel selling. And they're going to everywhere that they can in order to market their product. We want to make sure that we have this opportunity as professionals to build into that system. And it packs us a lot because we are probably one of the greatest utilizers of this technology, to be able to have that convenience and that ease of access to products that we want to buy or information that we need. And this really increases the accessibility of merchants' products, not just by being online, but if you think about people that have different disabilities or different abilities, this really enables them to have freedom and choice in how they want to purchase something. So there are 3 big voice assistant platforms, and they're Alexa Skills, Google Assistant, and Siri. And really the need for these came up through the hardware system. So we had these different IoT devices, such as, the iHome or the Echo Dot, and these platforms enabled those devices to be able to run. And now we're seeing that there's a proliferation of use cases for these things. And it's not just limited to the functionality that Apple, Amazon, or Google has created. And they have opened up these SDKs and APIs and are asking developers to build into these systems. And I think this actually really helps developers have another means to market their skills, because these are very valuable technologies that reach a lot of consumers. So there are very few things you need to get started, and it's really Amazon is what we're going to be focusing on today because we're doing Alexa. But you need an Amazon developer account, and you go to developer.amazon.com and sign up for that. You will need an AWS account with Lambda access, and that is just so that you can monitor your back end for the Alexa skill. You will need an Echo Dot or some kind of device to test on. We're going to be using the developer console because they've actually enabled Alexa through their online portal. However, when you go to market with your application, you're going to want to make sure that it works on an Echo. You're going to want to make sure it works on like a third-party device, so maybe something that someone's enabled with Alexa. And then you might want to also test it on a mobile app and make sure that the Alexa mobile app recognizes and works with your Alexa skill. The last couple things are very simple. It's a text editor and a BigCommerce Store. You can use any text editor. I used VS Code because it had a very nice selection of extensions that made developing Alexa skills super simple. And a BigCommerce Store can be accessed by going to bigcommerce.com/essentials and getting a free trial. So you might be wondering, architecturally, how does this work? And it's very, very simple. It works by using an invocation name. So that is what tells Alexa that you're requesting your application. And from there, it's really simple syntax in order to build a structure that your application uses in an MVC pattern. So that invocation name just calls your application. It's saying, hey, give me this app. An intent is what is mapping your user interface to your handlers on your backend. And that's how they are interacting in order to bring the data back to the user. So an intent is just a command at the end of the day. And it's saying, Alexa, have X do Y. And that's it. And Y can also be a variable, and that's where slots come into place. So your intent can have variables, and those are slots. And lastly, the model is taught how to recognize your skill better by using utterances. And these are where you can actually say, I want to enable this phrase and this phrase and this phrase. And that's where you can account for things like regional differences or for multilingual, etc. So you can have different utterances that enable your skill to work the same way. So I'm going to show you a couple of examples, and these are just really simple examples that you can kind of just grasp how that model is learning. So you have your wake word, which in this case is Alexa. Alexa, from Ray E. Thompson's store, purchase my last order. And you can see here that the wake word and the invocation name are very simple. And then it's the intent or the command at the end that is variable. I will tell you, with your invocation name, the thing that you do need to consider here is that it should be very easy to pronounce. So when I was building my skill, I actually had it as Ray's Store, but because I spell my name with an E, R-A-Y-E, they were looking for Ray's Store instead of Ray's Store. So I had to change that to my BigCommerce Store so that it would actually understand what was being invoked. And that's something that you need to consider, because once you push your app to production, it cannot be changed. The invocation name cannot be changed. So you will have to build a whole nother skill and archive that old one. So just something to consider. If you are going to use a name that has a variable spelling and you're not sure how well that spelling is going to be utilized, I would go phonetic and use a phonetic spelling rather than whatever the right spelling is for your business, if that's the name that you want. So here we want to know what kind of utterances might make sense for this. And so if we have, let's just say, a sale of the day skill, and we want Alexa to use that sale of the day a few times. So we might say, what is the sale of the day? What is on sale today? What product is on sale today? What item is on sale today? And you could see how this could go on and on and on. And your app could even be more complex and have branching. So you could say, what is the sale of the day? And then have it branch off into, do you want to purchase this item? Do you want to learn more about this item? So you can really see how these utterances can help that model learn and interact with your user more efficiently. And we're going to go kind of a low-code route today because we're going to use the developer console. And that console is really robust and it gives you a lot of functionality. So when you go to developer.amazon.com, you will be able to create this account, sign in, and you'll be able to go to the Alexa Skills Kit. And this Alexa Skills Kit is really what is giving you all the tooling. So once you're in, you'll be able to create your skill, and you just click on that where that highlighted blue button is, and you can create a skill. And it will give you the ability to do this from templates. I actually use the Hello World template. I suggest using a template to start, just to get an idea. I played with several of the templates before using the Hello World one and manipulating it. So it's just a very nice feature that they give you to be able to start coding really quickly. In this interface here, I'm just going to show you some of the navigation. So you would go to your build tab in order to start building your skill. And this is your user interface. So think of build as I'm building my user interface. You start with an invocation name, and that's checklist right there is really what's going to help you get started and give you kind of like those step-by-steps. And as you do them, they check off green. So it's really a great user experience here to be able to do this really quickly. When we go back, you'll see that there are these like navigation pieces across the top, and you start with build, and it's really your SDLC. So it's you build your user interface, you code your backend, you test, and then you distribute. When you distribute, that means you're going to production, and it creates a production branch for your code. And that's what gets certified and pushed out to the Alexa marketplace or the Alexa ecosystem. And then you have analytics that you can do based off of what is happening with your app in production. So we've already talked about this a little bit, but just make sure that your invocation name is unique and that you don't allow for too many multiple meaning words so that Alexa doesn't get confused with your app compared to somebody else's. And when you're reviewing your intents, you want to make sure that they match exactly what you want the user to do. So make sure that as you're moving through and you're doing these things, you're creating that user interface that's robust enough that your user can navigate really easily. And so setting your invocation name in this developer console is super easy. It's a text input, and that's it. You just enter it in. It'll tell you if that is an acceptable invocation name, and it requires at least 2 words. So that's the minimum requirement. And here is where your intents live, and you can see them all. And Amazon will have some that are required that you cannot get rid of. And that's for Alexa's overall architecture. You want to be able to stop and go back. You want to be able to navigate to another skill. You want to be able to have your application have some error handling. So these are really nice that they give this to you right off the bat. And you can see in this slide the featured products intent, and that's what we're going to be looking at today. That's what was built, is an intent that when called upon will display the featured products for a BigCommerce store. And then this JSON editor is where you can add your variables, your slots, your utterances. And this is just a really easy editor to use. And when you're done, all you have to do is save your model and build it, and you're ready to deploy. So that's what this is right here. You save your model, you build it, and then you can test it against your backend. And here's your backend editor. This is your Lambda editor, and it has a lot of different features in it as well, and it's very slick. It's pretty good, and it allows you to do quite a bit. So this is under that code tab, and it's going to have this file structure here that is really nice and easy to use. It's a basic Node application, so it has that same file structure if you're familiar with Node, and you'll use the index.js as your controller, so that's where your application logic is going to be called from, and then you can have your classes and everything else set up the way that you like. I actually did everything in index.js for this proof of concept, so you can actually see everything in one file. However, you can make this as robust or as limited as you wish. And then we have this navigation tool, and this is what allows you to interact with your AWS services, because I enabled Alexa hosted. So Alexa spun up all my servers for me. She did all of my code deploys for me. And this is what allows you to interact with that system. And it's really clean and helpful. I especially loved the CloudWatch feature because it allowed me to interact with logs really quickly and debug super seamlessly. And I think it's just going to pop it up and show you some of the features here. But you can see you have direct access into your S3 storage bucket, your CloudWatch logs, your DynamoDB. So all of these things are provisioned for you on a free Amazon tier. And then once you reach a certain limit, then you'll start getting warnings, and they'll let you know when they're going to charge you. So here are our functions and handlers, and this is the function that I use to get the data from the BigCommerce Store. So it's a very simple REST request to our catalog products endpoint, and I'm just asking for if it's featured true or false, and that's where you can see that featured equals 1. So that's, featured is true. Send it back to me, and I just do a simple parse to grab the first item in the array for this proof of concept, and that's in that handler for the feature product input. And it's super simple to do. They give you basically the skeleton code that is the same handler. Functions all have the same structure, so it's just very easy. You come in and you see the examples and you're able to get started right away. These obviously can get more complex and be more, you can have more of them. So you could have your featured product intent, and that leads a user to a shop item or, different things like that. But as a generalized proof of concept, this shows you how simple it is to just create a very simple application. And I believe this took me, a couple hours. Really the hardest part was I was coming back from maternity leave, and I had to remember how to parse JSON. And so that was the hardest part of this whole thing, is that I had to oh yeah, that's pretty simple, but I had to remember how to do that. I have this video in here, but I'm actually going to take you guys out of here, and we're going to go to the console, and I'm going to show you how to test this in the browser. If you wish to watch that video later, it will be in the presentation, and I will host this presentation on GitHub with the code. So here we go. We're in the developer console, and let me bring you guys on over. I have it up on my screen, so I just need to share it. All right, here we are. So inside this developer console, we are going to wake Alexa. So here we go. Alexa, open my BigCommerce Store. Featured products. And that's it. It returned to me my sample Orbit Terrarium Large, which is my featured product in my BigCommerce Store. So if we are to go back now to our presentation, I'm going to just finish it out by giving you guys some resources and some tools. So if we're thinking about this, where will Alexa be in 2022? And I have an answer for you. It will be in the BigCommerce marketplace. And so if you wish to become a BigCommerce partner and join our developer ecosystem, you can build these Alexa skills as applications, or you can also build these as agency partners and enable merchants to have these custom applications. And it's just another thing that you can add to your repertoire and add to your hustle. You can get these applications spun up very quickly, and it's a great way to diversify your coding skills. So some simple resources here. I am a resource to you. Please reach out to me. Like I said, I will be hosting this on my GitHub, and I'm on Twitter as Ray E. Thompson. So if you need anything, please reach out. At developer.bigcommerce.com, we have all of the resources for our APIs for you to start building. And then I've also included the Alexa Skills Kit documentation and the samples. And all of this will be, again, loaded on my GitHub, and you can come find this presentation. And also, the community that I support, the BigCommerce community, we would love to have you. So please feel free to join us. We are at developer.bigcommerce.com. We are at BigCommerce Devs on Twitter. And we are also found at support.bigcommerce.com, where we have our forum. We're building a community of technologists that are passionate about e-commerce. So if you're in that space, please join us. And with that, I just want to say thank you, TechFairLive community. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for having me, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye.